Let me know if this feels like you. I've heard all about intuitive eating, or maybe I've been doing it for a while and I'm kind of questioning it and I'm not really quite sure if it's for me because I'm worried about my weight. If that's you, you're in the right place and this is the right video. My name is Tracy Brown. I'm a somatic nutrition dietitian and a tuned eating specialist, and today we're going to dive into the thing that most people get hung up on for all kinds of very good reasons. It's not to be dismissive. It's just the reality of when you're coming out of diet culture, when you're recovering from eating disorder, you're probably going to have some thoughts about your weight. And so I think that we really can't have too many conversations about this because just bottom line, we weren't born hating our bodies. We weren't born worrying about calories or macros or all those kind of things, or even health. But somewhere along the line, our body trust and our ability to be inside our bodies has been disrupted. And part of the journey home to be at peace with our bodies, in our bodies, and to feel safe and trusting in our bodies is to recognize that bodies change, weight and size, for all kinds of good reasons. So today, I'm going to talk about a handful of reasons that people's weight change with intuitive eating, and it's not because you're doing it wrong. So, and this is not a full inclusive list. I'm probably going to miss some things that are important maybe to you. So please put in the comments below, like, well, Tracy, you didn't talk about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. It wasn't because I was excluding you. It's probably because I didn't want to make this video 10 years long. So let's just get started. So if we weren't always worried about weight, how did we manage our weight? And the thing is that if we were lucky, is that we had early experiences where we were allowed to learn how to eat and we didn't have food insecurity. Now, if you have food insecurity, whether it's from a financial reason or you grew up in a diet culture house and you weren't allowed to have certain things, then you might have some food insecurity. And so that's a reason why sometimes when we go on a diet and after the amazingness of the diet is over and you can't sustain anymore and you don't want to be in that purgatory of worrying anymore, you start having a bigger variety of food around. And if you have a history of food insecurity, you're going to want to eat all the things that you haven't had. And so, for some people, there's going to be some override of natural fullness because we're afraid of it going away and not getting enough. So that might increase your weight. That doesn't mean your weight will be like that forever, but it might mean that. Another reason why people's weight changes and they're really shocked by the change is because maybe you started your recovery or started your diet culture circumstance or journey or disordered eating when you were a kid. I can't tell you how many people I work with started dieting at 10 years old. So many, thousands of stories. And so that means that there's some weight suppression and nutrition depletion going on at a time when you should be growing. You should be getting wider and taller and having good nutrition stores, and that suppresses people's weight at a young age. So it's not surprising if you've been dieting when you were 10 or 12 or 14 or 16 or even 20, when the body's still going through its maturation process, that you might end up weighing more than you ever thought you would. But it's not because your body did something wrong. It's finally just growing up. And I think that's really hard because in our culture, we're very fearful of aging. We're fearful of weight, of course, because of stigma and discrimination and being judged. And so it's hard to accept, like, this doesn't feel like the body I'm supposed to have. Maybe it is or maybe it isn't, but this is where we're at. And again, doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong. So another reason people's weight changes is because there sometimes is overshoot. Like if that happened to me, is that, starved for a while, my body kind of had to be over what it needed to be. And I'm only giving myself as an example because that did happen to me. It doesn't really matter what happened to me with my weight, but it's just, that happens sometimes to people. It does. And it's just our body's way of protecting itself. So some people overshoot and they don't go back down. Some people find some kind of equilibrium that's a little lower than that. And it's really all part of whatever your body is needing to do for survival. That's what it's going to do. Again, that doesn't mean you're overeating. So another thing, a reason sometimes people's weight changes is it's not fair. But sometimes we already had some underlying things that just hadn't been manifest yet in terms of something's going on with our metabolic issue. It's a metabolic issue that was already kind of there and was there during the dieting and the eating issue. It's just that once eating got liberalized, body changed because it wasn't used to, like, it was used to suppression, so it doesn't mean that, like, oh my gosh, my weight caused the thyroid thing or my weight caused the insulin resistance things. Like, that was already there. And doesn't necessarily, weight gain doesn't necessarily make it worse. It's just, it's kind of a product of that underlying situation or condition. So sometimes health conditions cause weight to be higher than we thought they would be, but it's not because you did something wrong. It's not because you overate. In fact, most of my clients who have some health conditions, very few of them are overeating. Now, if there's binge eating disorder in place, that's a whole different story that we're not really talking about today. Of course, if we're consistently eating more than our bodies need to sustain them, keep brain function good, have good energy, our weight's probably going to creep up. But for the majority of people, I know that binge eating disorder is the most common eating disorder, but all of them are rooted in restriction. And so it's really important to recognize that even if you feel like you are eating past fullness or grazing throughout the day and it's not out of hunger, there's a level of fear of not getting enough of something, whether it's calming or relief, or the food will be taken away because of my body or because of being judged. That's still a restrictive base, and that brings some fear into the system as well. So, and more fear begets more of a need to feel safe. And if we use food for that, that could be a reason that our body is changing, not because we're inherently these out of control people. So those are just a couple reasons. So lastly, I do think the body's really wise. I know my body went into way more to protect me. We all have different reasons. Maybe that's the case. So it's one of those things that we often doubt ourselves. If I weigh more, I must have done something wrong. I'm here to tell you today that you just might weigh more because it's out of your body's need to protect it in some kind of way, whether metabolically or something else. And then pretty much the worst thing you can do is try to purposely restrict to fix it, because the real issue is not the body size. You may not like the body size, but it's your job to take care of the body in the best way you possibly can. And that means physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That also means that maybe you do need to adjust your nutrition because there's something underlying going on that is driving some of that. Not quite having accurate signals, or, of course, the work I do is very trauma informed. So I see it every day that a lot of times what's happening in the nervous system, in their survival system, is influencing how we eat, whether enough, not enough, too much, whatever. And so those are some things to be thinking about as well. Thank you so much for watching this. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know, tag me below. If you know someone who is like, oh, I'm not doing intuitive eating because I'm afraid it's going to make me way too much. I'm not going there. I just might as well stick with my dieting. I'd rather live with that. It's like, I just don't think sometimes people have all the tools and resources and support they need to be able to do things when it gets uncomfortable. And that's the reason sometimes people get scared, not because intuitive eating doesn't work. It's just that there's, the way that maybe we're going about it isn't nuanced enough. So thank you all so much for watching. Please take good care, and I will see you in the next video. Well, we will finish up part 4 of our Overthinking Intuitive Eating series. And if you have anything that you would like me to cover as well, please let me know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.